Hello everyone, my name is Premsagar and today we are going to learn an important lesson for 8th standard. Its name is Combustion and Flame. Now let us talk about what are we going to learn in this lesson today. Today we are going to learn about combustion and what are its types, and most important of all, the candle flame and what are its zones. And we are also going to give some examples about different kinds of fuels and how are they useful for us. And we are also going to discuss about the combustion, air pollution and what are its side effects on the environment. So let us start. So what is combustion? All of us have grown up thinking that combustion is just the burning of a substance. But it is not that. Combustion is the burning of a substance, but it uses heat, ignition temperature and oxygen plus a combustible substance. When these conditions are available, then only does the combustion takes place. So we can know that the conditions necessary for combustion are an ignition temperature, a combustible substance, and oxygen gas. Now let us talk. Why do we need these substances? So let us talk about oxygen. Why do we need oxygen for combustion? Combustion is a chemical process in which oxygen is used to break down the bonds between two atoms of a substance, which is a combustible substance. When these bonds are broken, then the heat and light energy is given out. So without oxygen, a combustion doesn't take place. Now let us try an experiment. Take a candle and take a jar. Light the candle and keep the jar on that candle. But after some seconds, the candle flame goes off. This is why it uses all the oxygen in the jar, and as it does not get an adequate supply of oxygen, the candle flame goes off. This is why oxygen gas is very important for combustion. And the next one is a combustible substance. It is very easy to know that if there is no substance, then what we should burn. So combustible substance is very important. And ignition temperature. Even if there is a combustible substance and oxygen gas for us, everything doesn't burn around us because they have not reached their ignition temperature. With friction, if we increase their temperature and if we raise them to their ignition temperature, then the object starts burning. And we can know that every substance has its own ignition temperature. This is just proved by observing the nature around us, and we can see that none of the objects are burning because all of them have their own ignition temperature. So there are three types of ignition temperature: high ignition temperature, very low ignition temperature, and the normal. The normal one is very easy and efficient for us to carry and use. A substance which has a very high ignition temperature is a rock. Yes, most of us have seen the shooting stars. In most cases, a shooting star is just a burning piece of rock and it just burns away due to the friction between the atmosphere and the rock. And what is a substance that has very low ignition temperature? We can take examples like kerosene, petrol, diesel, wood, paper, etc. And a substance that has normal ignition temperature is firewood, paper and some other things. This is why the substances which have normal ignition temperature are very easy to transport and they are convenient for us. And what does combustion of a substance produce? The combustion of an object produces three main things. It can produce carbon dioxide or water vapor. It also produces light and heat. But in some cases, during complete combustion, light is not produced. So what is complete combustion? Is there two types of combustion? Yes, there are. There are two types of combustions. They are complete and incomplete combustions. When the supply of oxygen is adequate, the combustion takes completely and there is no emission of harmful gases such as carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. But one of the disadvantages is that it does not produce light and it is non-luminous. It produces a blue flame. But in case of incomplete combustion, the supply of oxygen is inadequate. Here it produces a large number of pollutants such as carbon monoxide gas, which is very harmful for our body, and other harmful gases. This is why complete combustion and incomplete combustion both have pros and cons. Now let us us study about calorific value. So what is calorific value? Calorific value is nothing but the amount of heat produced in the complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel. It is measured in joules. So 1 calorie is equal to 1.414 joules, and it is measured in kilojoule per kg. So we can understand this is given so that we can understand which fuel is convenient for us, and it depends on the usage. Now I'm telling the criteria for an ideal fuel one by one. Let me say all by one. So what are the criteria for a convenient fuel? They are the rate of combustion. A substance should have a moderate rate of combustion and it should not burn too fast because it may get over fastly. And storage and transportation. A fuel should be easy to store and transport. And the next point is the ignition temperature. A substance should not have a high rate of ignition temperature and a low ignition temperature too. Because if there is a low ignition temperature, it can ignite very easily and it can cause damage. But if it has a very high ignition temperature, it will not be practical in reaching the ignition temperature for burning. Instead, we can have a normal ignition temperature where it is easy to store and transport, and it is also convenient to use. So the next point is a less amount of non-combustible substances. A fuel should have low number of non-combustible substances. Otherwise, incomplete combustion will take place and it will emit many kinds of harmful gases such as carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So, and the last point is that it should be easily available and it should be cheap. So, these are the criteria for an ideal fuel. When we have all these, we can get an ideal fuel which we can use efficiently and innovatively. So next, let us learn about a candle flame. All of us must have seen a candle. There is a wick, there is a column of wax, and we burn it, it just starts burning. That's all that we know. But there is a lot more science hidden in the burning of a candle. So how does the combustion of a candle takes place? Now let us learn what a candle is made up of. A candle is a column of wax, and in the middle of the wax there is a wick. When we light the wick, the combustion of the wicks takes place. And due to the combustion, heat is produced, and the heat melts the wax just below the wick. And the wax burns and a cup-like structure is formed. But the air also gets heated up just below the wick, and it rises up, and the cool air from the surroundings rushes to take its place. This is why the edges of the column of the wick does not burn, and it just keeps melting. And the wick also does not burn too quickly, and it does not reach its ignition temperature because the cool air is rushing from all the sides to cool it down. So this is how a candle works. And when the wax melts, it just forms a cup-like structure in which there is warm and liquid wax. But when there is more heat, the wax vaporizes and it is sucked into the flame due to the capillary action. And when the warm air rises up, it carries the wax vapor above the flame, and the flame burns all the wax. This is how a wax candle burns. So we have learned about the candle and how does it burns. But we have seen 3 different types of colors in a candle. Yes, we all know that. There is a yellow color and some amount of blue color and a very less black color. So these are not just the colors, these are the zones of a candle. Let us learn about all these 3 zones. Now let us start with the inner dark zone or the black zone. This is filled with carbon and unburned particles, and a large amount of incomplete combustion is taking place, and this is why it does not give off heat, it does not give off light, and the combustion is also not taking conveniently and innovatively there. And just above it there is the blue zone. Here the availability of oxygen is high, and so the wax burns correctly and it burns completely. So there is no incomplete combustion, due to which there is no emission of harmful gases. But above it there is the yellow zone. The The yellow zone gives off light and heat, and it is in a much larger quantity. But it is yellow and it gives off light because it is incomplete combustion. It produces pollutants, but in a very small amount. This is why a candle flame is also convenient fuel for households. Pause. Now we are going to study about extinguishing fire. Fire is always not useful. In some cases, it is very harmful and it can damage things. This happens when a substance has a low ignition temperature and is stored in a large quantity, just starts burning. This is why combustion is also disadvantageous. So let us learn how to extinguish the fire. As we have known, there are three main things for a substance to start burning: an ignition temperature, an oxygen gas, and a combustible substances. We can use these three things and extinguish the fire. How? Let us know. A combustible substance, when it is burning, it is using oxygen. So we can just cut down the supply of the oxygen by covering it with something which is opaque, and it does not allow the oxygen to enter through it. Thus, the oxygen supply is cut down and the object gets extinguished. And another way is by cooling the substance. Every substance has its own ignition temperature and it starts burning when the temperature is high. But when we throw water on it, we are cooling the temperature and we are bringing the object below its ignition temperature. This way we can also extinguish the fire. But if there is large fire and we cannot do that with these two methods, we can also use fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are always available for us in a fire department, and we can buy one of them. It is very important and safe to have one of them in our house. And if the building catches fire, we can also cause the fire station, which the fire stations have a special type of chemical foam and fire retardant chemical protein. These are only available with the fire stations. So we can take the use of these also to extinguish the fire. Now we have studied most of the combustion and flame, and what are its advantages, disadvantages, candle flame, etc. But do we have a non-polluting biofuels? Yes, we have. There are two main types of biofuels. These are produced from recently dead organic matter, which is converted into fuel by anaerobic means, by a bacteria, which is a very special type of bacteria. One of them is biogas. Biogas is produced by converting waste and dead organic matter into gas. It is mainly done in villages. There is a chamber and there is a kind of chamber in which the organic waste is converted into gas. And the next one is biodiesel. Biodiesel is also the diesel which is produced by special kinds of plants, algae, vegetable oils, and animal fats. A jatropha plant is an excellent biodiesel plant. The seeds of this jatropha plant contains 30% of non-edible oil, and this oil can be easily converted into diesel. So we have also learned about the biofuels, and there are two types, that is biogas and biodiesel. So we have covered most part of this lesson. But as I have told, combustion also has disadvantages. Not only with the damage of the property, but it also damages the environment. It also increases the global warming. How? Let us find out. Thermal stations burn coal and produce electricity. But while they are combusting oxygen with coal, they are also producing sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide, when it enters the atmosphere, it reacts with water vapor and produces acid. This acid comes in the form for us as rain. We fools, thinking it as rain, drink it and use it for agricultural purposes. An excellent example for acid rain is the yellowing of the Taj Mahal. The seventh wonder of the world, Taj Mahal, is growing yellow just because of acid rain and pollution. So friends, we must ensure that a combustion of a substance is complete and not incomplete. But nowadays, all the substances are burning incompletely because oxygen is depleting in the atmosphere. This is why we must take urgent steps towards the conserving of the environment, and we must work together to reduce global warming. Combustion is also increasing global warming. Thank you. Wait friends, wait. Where are you going? I have forgot one more thing to tell. Hope this lesson we have understand well, and also hit the like button and subscribe for our channel. If you want more lessons and with the complete understanding of the lessons, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.